Good morning, everybody. This video is a contribution to the novel class to help you to read and understand Hemingway's novel, The Old Man and the Sea. Our discussion today will focus mainly on the setting of the novel and the characterization of the main character of our novel, The Old Man or Santiago. Let's begin with the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, we're told that he was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. This first sentence says a lot. First of all, the main character is referred to with a he. That is to say, this is a third person pronoun, which means this is a third person narrator. So if you're asked about what point of view do you have here, remember that we have an omniscient third person narrator. So our narrator is an omniscient third person narrator who refers to the characters by using he, she, they, etc. The narrator in the first paragraph introduces the main character to us, that is the character of the old man. He was an old man who fished alone. So he is what? He's a fisherman, and he used to go fishing alone in a skiff, and a skiff is a small boat, where in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. The Gulf Stream is a small gulf in Cuba, so elements of setting are getting clearer here. Now we know we are in Cuba. We know that part of the setting is going to be the sea and the skiff of the old man. And we are told a little bit about the situation of the story. Now, what if you remember, what is situation? Situation is an element of exposition. Situation is an element of exposition, if you remember. And situation tells us what the novel is going to be about. So, situation is an element of exposition. And remember, exposition is usually found in the first paragraph or in the first two paragraphs of the story. So, part of the situation of the novel is that this old man who goes fishing alone could not catch a fish for 84 days so far. In the first 40 days, a boy had been with him. So, another character is being introduced here. It is the character of the boy. The boy used to accompany him. So the boy was with the man for the past 40 days, and both of them could not catch one single fish. But after 40 days without a fish, the boy's parents had told him that the old man was now definitely and finally sallow, which means he is unlucky, he is cursed, he is unlucky, which is the worst form of unlucky. And the boy had gone at their orders, his parents' orders, in another boat. So who is the boy? The boy is the person who used to go with the old man for 40 days trying to catch a fish, but his parents, the boy's parents, ordered him to find another fisherman to go with instead of the old man because the old man is unfortunately unlucky or even cursed. Now, the fact that the boy looks for another boat suggests that the boy goes with fishermen because he is trying to learn how to become a fisherman. Okay? So the boy goes with another boat, and that boat actually was lucky because it managed to catch 3 good fish the first week. It made the boy sad to see the old man come in each day with his skiff empty, and he always went down to help him. Now, look, these two lines somehow tell us a little bit about the boy and the man's relationship. It saddened the boy to find that the old man comes every day with an empty boat. And every time the old man comes from his fishing trip, the boy hurries to help him. So it is a friendly relationship, actually, which joins the old man and the boy. Okay, so he is the boy, he always went down to help him, to help the old man carry either the coiled lines or the gaff or the harpoon and the sail that was furled around the mast. The reference here is definitely to all the fishing equipments or tools, if you wish, primitive tools, simple tools the old man uses to fish. The sail was patched, the sail, the white sail of the boat, which is usually made of cloth. The sail was patched with flour sacks and furled. It looked like the flag of permanent defeat. This line is highly symbolic. First, the sail of the old man's boat is not made of solid cloth or thick cloth. It's patched. It's patched with flour sacks. Flour, tahine, flour sacks. It's patched, which tells you the sail is too old, and the old man's boat seems to be a very poor and old boat. This reflects on the financial status of the old man, that he himself is a very poor fisherman. And the sail was furled to look like a flag, but not a flag of victory, it is a flag of defeat. So this is symbolic. This suggests the defeat. This suggests the old man's defeat. He is defeated by the sea. He cannot catch one single fish. So, in the first paragraph, we're actually introduced to the two characters, the main character, the old man, and the boy, who's going to play also an important role in our novel. We're also introduced to the setting. We are in Cuba. We are in some coastal village, apparently, and we are introduced also to the situation, what the story, what the novel is going to be about. It seems that this is the story of an old man, an unlucky old man who could not catch a fish for 84 days. So, in other words, in this first paragraph, you have the three elements of exposition. You have a reference to the characters, introduction of the characters, you have an introduction of the situation, and you have an introduction of the setting. Now we're told a little bit or more about the old man. Do you remember our earlier discussion about characterization? Let me just refresh your memory a little bit. Now, when it comes to characterization, the characters are usually introduced to us directly or indirectly. We said if a character is introduced directly, we can read what a character says, what a character does, or what a character thinks. If the character is introduced indirectly, then we have actually another character who tells us about this character. Okay? Now, there is another important point. In terms of characterization, usually we have description, okay? Usually we have description of 2 points. We have description of the physical features of the character, physical features, and you have description of the personality of the character. So again, in terms of characterization, a character is described or introduced to us in different terms. Either we have a physical description of the physical features of the character, or we have description of the personality of the character, or we might have both. Let's see which do we have in this novel. Now, if you move to the second paragraph, we're told that the old man was thin and gaunt with deep wrinkles in the back of his neck. So he's what? He's old. And he's gaunt with deep wrinkles. His face is covered with wrinkles, which are signs of old age. His face and his neck covered with wrinkles, which are signs of old age. And he was old. The brown blotches of the benevolent skin cancer the sun brings from its reflection on the tropic sea were on his cheeks. So you can see spots, dark spots on his cheeks, which are caused by the sun. And actually, the reference here, the word cancer here, is not the usual cancer that we know nowadays as a disease, but the reference here is to skin cancer, to those dark patches or dark spots caused on the old man's cheeks because of the sun. The blotches ran well down the sides of his face, and his hands had the deep creased scars from handling heavy fish. His hands have scars from carrying and trying to catch heavy fish on the cords, the ropes that he uses in fishing. So there are even scars. There are scars in his hands. There are dark spots or patches covering his cheeks, and there are wrinkles covering his face and his neck. What do you call this? You call this physical description. Okay, this is the physical description of the character. But none of these scars, the scars on his hands, were fresh, which means now those scars were caused by catching heavy fish and pulling cords or ropes in fishing. But none of these scars were fresh, which means they were not fresh, means they were old scars, which suggests that it has been a long time since the old man managed to catch any fish. They were as old as erosions in a fishless desert. This is beautiful and desperate metaphor at the same time. In a fishless desert, the sea is compared to a desert where everything is dead, where you can find nothing. So the old man has been unlucky. He couldn't catch any fish, as if the sea for him is no more than a desert.